Right, moving on though, let's move on to the next story we want to talk about. And this blows my mind. East Midlands Ambulance Service is allowing staff to take a year of paid leave for the male menopause, a condition which is not actually clinically recognised, also known as the andropause. Symptoms in men include anxiety, depression and weight gain. But the NHS remains sceptical of its connection with hormones in men. This comes as a female social worker has sued Leicester City Council for workplace discrimination after she went through the menopause, and she says that she was badly treated. And she's being backed, actually, by Equality Chiefs, backing what they think will be a landmark menopause discrimination claim. Well, joining me right now is Dr Renée Hoenderkamp, who's a GP. Good afternoon to you, Renée.
Good afternoon, Julia.
Thanks so much for joining us. Right, two stories here, both related to the menopause. And I think I'm going to make a lot... We're talking about people taking offence. I'm going to offend a lot of people on both of these stories, I think. But let's start...
Me too.
Yes, let's start with the male menopause. Now, this is different from the male midlife crisis. It involves my husband buying a lot of stuff around cycling and golf at the moment, I think. So talk us through, what is the male menopause and do men actually suffer from it?
So, as you said, it's not really recognised clinically as a condition. As a doctor, I do believe that some men, as their testosterone naturally drops with age, do actually experience some of the things you mentioned: fatigue, not sleeping well, weight gain and depression and anxiety. So there are doctors that call that the andropause. I've done blogs about it. But the thing is, Julia, it will take a day to diagnose and treat. It is that simple. You do a blood test, you see if the testosterone's low. If it is, you replace it. Done, finished, it's over. Whereas with female menopause, every single woman in the country at some point will go through the menopause.
Yeah, that is a very key difference, isn't it? I have to say, I did think when they were talking about these symptoms, I felt the same way about some of the long COVID symptoms, actually, which, you know, feeling tired, putting on weight, feeling a bit miserable. That's just middle age.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think lots of people who think they're suffering from long COVID may well be going through the menopause that they weren't before they got COVID. And I think it's also blurry now. But I also wonder if this ambulance service spending our money on paying men to have a year off with their feet up when they actually are so desperately short of staff you can't get an ambulance for 12 hours, are they actually just virtue signalling to try and include those trans men who will go through the menopause because they're actually women?
Yes, that's a very good point. I mean, this is just where we go. We're in Alice in Wonderland territory, aren't we? This is the thing that's so frustrating. Look, if people can't cope with their work and stuff, like, no one's doing down ambulance work because they have a really tough job. They're paid a pittance, and that is one of the hardest jobs, I think, going in this country. It's the bosses often who are doing this. I mean, this is where we get into a madness of not... I think it makes a mockery of women going through the menopause. But I also have an issue with quite a lot of the whinging and moaning about the female menopause as well. As a middle-aged woman who's on HRT, thank the Lord for HRT.
You and I both.
Yes, I completely understand, you know, that it's a real thing and lots of women suffer very, very badly from it. I certainly went through a phase a couple of years ago, three years ago, where I was sleeping about an hour a night. I mean, I just literally was barely functioning. I called the doctor and HRT, nothing to discuss, need to start it. But we've got this case, Maria Rooney. Can I just go through this case? Maria Rooney, she's suing Leicester City Council. She said basically she was off work. She had lots of problems with her menopause. She had disclosed that it was a menopausal issue. She'd been, basically the local council, basically they didn't take it seriously. They mocked her. They basically said you have to turn up for work. She's now suing for workplace discrimination because she says her menopause wasn't taken seriously. They're saying this could be a landmark legal action. Does this pave the way for every woman who has a hot flush and has a sleepless night and feels a bit rough in the morning to take the day off work and then sue their employer if they make a fuss?
I think this is really interesting, Julia, because I've seen women who have absolutely lost the plot in menopause. And when you treat them, they come back and say, my God, you've given me the old me back. The issue here, of course, is that there are lots of women around this age who don't want to take HRT, they can't, but most women can actually. They don't want to, but they want to suffer through the menopause. And this may, as you rightly say, open the floodgates for them to actually do so whilst on full pay and not going to work. And that's exactly what we don't need in our current workforce, is it? I mean, I think the answer here is back to the GP. And what we need is a very clear pathway of access for both men and women to their GP to have the test they need and be treated swiftly, so that they don't spend months and months suffering when they really are suffering, and they can get their bums back in the office.
Totally. I mean, Davina McCall has been a fantastic ambassador on this issue, just telling women, you know, lots of women were scared off HRT because of concerns about breast cancer. Unless you've got it running in the family, and there are women who simply, it would be advisable for them not to take it. Most women can take it. Most women need to get to that doctor and get to them soon and take it. It is so safe. And frankly, I think having an hour's sleep a night and then maybe driving a car is a downside less safe. But this is the thing. It was something women didn't like to talk about, and now women are being very open about it. But I think there's a point where we've kind of crossed a line over, let's take it seriously and be sympathetic, and let's make sure people get treatment, and let's just bang on about it forever. It seems to me that my mother's generation fought for women not to be treated as just a bag of hormones. Oh, you're on your period. Oh, you got the menopause. Oh, you're pregnant. All this. And now all women want to talk about is, why their hormones mean they can't go to work.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we need to say to women, look, menopause is something that all women will go through. For some women, it's really tough. For some, it isn't. We do have treatments that can actually get you back to where you want to be, but you need to come forward and talk to us about it. It's as simple as that. Don't suffer in silence. Pick up the phone.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr Renée Hoenderkamp. Thank you so much indeed.